In a small town nestled between rolling hills and whispering forests, there lived a young artist named Ava. Her studio, tucked away at the edge of the town, was filled with canvases of all sizes, some unfinished, others brimming with color and emotion. But despite her skill, Ava often felt frustrated. She could draw and paint beautifully, but none of her works ever seemed to capture what she truly wanted to say. They were technically perfect, but they lacked soul. One cool autumn evening, as the last golden rays of the sun danced through the trees, Ava sat on a worn bench outside her studio, feeling the weight of her own disappointment. The world around her was alive with color. The fiery red of the maple leaves, the soft amber of the setting sun, the deep green of the pines, and yet her heart felt hollow. She had an idea of what she wanted to express, but the right words, or brushstrokes, always seemed just out of reach. As she sat in silence, an old woman with silver hair and a gentle smile approached her. She wore a simple dress, and her eyes twinkled with a kind of knowing warmth. Ava had never seen her before, but there was something familiar about her presence, as if she had always belonged here. "You're an artist, aren't you?" the woman asked, her voice soft but clear. Ava nodded, a little surprised by the question. "Yes, but I'm not sure I'm very good at it," she admitted, a tinge of frustration creeping into her voice. "I can paint, but it never feels real. It never feels like me." The old woman sat down beside her, folding her hands in her lap. "I understand," she said. "I used to feel the same way. You see, art is more than just technique. It's more than just what your hands can do. The best art comes from the heart, not the mind." Ava raised an eyebrow, unsure of what the woman meant. "But if I don't have the skill to make it look right, how can I make it real?" The old woman smiled, her eyes shining with wisdom. "Skill is important, yes. But it's not the heart of the matter. You must learn to paint with your soul, not your eyes. Your hands will follow once your heart knows what it wants to say." Ava thought about the woman's words long after she had gone. She didn't fully understand, but something deep inside her stirred. The next day, she decided to try something different. She placed a blank canvas on her easel and, instead of planning each brushstroke with precision, she closed her eyes and breathed deeply. She remembered the way the sun had kissed her skin the day before, the vibrant colors of the leaves that had whispered secrets to her in the wind, and the quiet ache in her chest that came from wanting to express what she couldn't say with words. With a deep breath, she picked up her paintbrush and let it move freely across the canvas. She didn't think about perspective or light. She just painted what she felt. Every stroke was like a heartbeat, every color a reflection of the emotions swirling within her. She let herself be vulnerable, letting the paint spill and swirl, letting the chaos of her feelings guide her hand. By the time she was finished, the canvas was a riot of colors, vibrant oranges and reds, deep purples and blues, all blending together in a wild, beautiful dance. It was not perfect by any traditional measure, but it felt alive. She stood back and looked at it, and for the first time, she felt a sense of peace. Ava had painted with her heart, not her head. The next morning, she decided to show her work at the town's art gallery, a place where many of her polished pieces had been displayed before. The townspeople were used to seeing perfectly rendered landscapes, still lifes, and portraits. But when they saw Ava's new piece, something shifted. They stood in front of the canvas, eyes wide, and they felt it, something raw and real, something they could connect with. Some said it reminded them of the wild beauty of nature. Others said it made them think of their own memories and dreams. The mayor, a stern and practical man, approached her with a smile that softened the lines of his face. "Ava," he said quietly, this is your best work. It's unlike anything we've seen here before. There's a truth to it. A heart." Ava smiled, her heart full. She realized then that the old woman had been right. The best art comes from the heart, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. It speaks to others in a language deeper than words, and it's a language only the heart can understand. From that day on, Ava continued to paint from her heart. She no longer worried about perfection, because she knew that the truest beauty came when she allowed herself to be vulnerable. And her art, just like her soul, became freer, wilder, and more alive. And in the end, that was the greatest work of all.